Alright, so let's do I started playing Ken because I was tired of having to work to win. That's fair. That's very fair. Alright. Let's talk a little bit about Ken and the Ken matchup because someone asked for it and I thought it was a good idea. So these tutorials, I should add, are really, I mean, they are aimed at people who are kind of around late silver to early plat kind of territory in terms of matchup experience, because outside of that they may have less useful information. I'm not sure. If you find it useful, great, but that's kind of like the audience I'm aiming it at. Alright, let's talk about Ken. So Ken is a character who has actually gotten progressively worse over the history of Street Fighter. There's been, or Street Fighter 5 at least. I'm in rookie rank and I barely play ranked. Fair enough. Look, you do you, man. You do what feels good. He actually started out way better in the earlier seasons of Street Fighter 5, and then just, for reasons that are really baffling, just got progressively worse. In the same way that they kept buffing Cammy for no reason, they kept nerfing Ken for no reason. He was never that good to begin with, and now he is objectively bad. But, that said, he is still a character. There are a few characters in this game that reward taking big risks. In this game, typically big risks are not rewarded with the same amount of damage or payoff. But for some characters they are, and Ken is definitely a character who rewards taking big risks. And that can be very frustrating to fight against, especially in lower levels, because it just seems like he just does anything and it works and it hits like a truck, and then your life is terrible after that. So I'm just gonna go over some of the basic things about fighting Ken, just some quick how-tos, how to deal with certain things that he does, that'll hopefully help you in this matchup if you are struggling with it. I also just fought a Ken and and I beat him 2-0, so that makes me qualified, right? We can include the replay for that if we want to. All right, so Ken is probably the most rushdowny of all the Shotos. Ryu is not really a rushdown character. If you run to rushdown Ryus, they're basically being played the wrong way. Akuma can rush you down, but he's not really about that. He's more about converting off stray pokes and buffers than he is off just mad rushdown. Ken's really the character you want to play if you want to play a rushdown character and you want to Shoto, basically. So for that reason, he's got a lot of tools. He's got command dash. He's got a very long range Tatsu, and he's got his he's got his mix up off his overhead, things like that. So these can all be annoying things to deal with. Ken also the worst Shoto? Objectively, yes. Like I said, he's been nerfed the whole time. He's easily, out of Ryu, Ken, Sakura, and Akuma, Ken is, and Sagat kind of, if you want to include him, Ken is easily the worst out of all of those. So we'll talk about a few things. We'll talk about his fireballs. Now, we can just go ahead and start recording these. What am I doing? What am I doing with my life? Alright. Walk straight away afterwards. Ken has, I think, one of the longest recoveries on his fireball out of any character in the game. He is actually -8 on a fireball on block, and just in terms of actual recovery frames, even if it whiffs, he is still very minus in terms of is just recovery animation in general. That means against Jury or against any character who can deal with fireballs, he has to be very careful about how he throws his fireballs, because they don't travel very fast. They're very minus on block, -8 on block, and they're just extremely punishable in general. So Ken players got to be super, super careful. If you know how to deal with fireballs, if you're playing Jury, use V-Skill 1. Playing a different character, you just use whatever tool you have that is meant for going around fireballs, to just dissuade Ken from throwing fireballs in general. Ken should really not be throwing fireballs ever, effectively. If your character has a tool for getting around fireballs, he should just not be throwing them. If your character has fireballs of their own, then obviously you can have a fireball war with them and do things the way you normally do. But that is one thing to keep in mind, is there's fireballs tremendously minus. So even if you don't have a tool for dealing with fireballs, even if you just walk him down, that sucker is -8 on block. So it is absolutely your turn after he throws that fireball. More so than any other character pretty much in this game. So that is one thing to absolutely keep in mind. Now, another thing I want to talk about is Ken's Tatsu. What am I doing? That's my life right now. Right. Ken's full screen Tatsu, the heavy Tatsu. In lower ranks, this is actually something that's annoying to deal with. Because in lower ranks, if you are bronze or silver, what Ken will do is he will Tatsu his way in and then hit you with a mix-up. And that mix-up will be he will either go for throw after this, he will throw you after this, or he will do raw DP and try to catch you doing a throw attack. And that is the basic bitch day one Ken mix-up that Ken players do. The important thing to remember about Ken's Tatsu, outside of V-Trigger, it's framed out it gets better in V-Trigger, but outside of V-Trigger, this sucker is -4, which means you can jab punish it consistently. If you time it right. Obviously I didn't. Come on, give it to me. There you go. We jabbed him at least. Curse of the commentator. There we go. So you can absolutely consistently punish this if your timing is. My timing is way off tonight. I don't know why. So this move is punishable. It is not a move that has a guaranteed mix-up at the end of it. -4 and a throw is so good. Look, it works at low levels, and so I'm just giving people the information that they might need. Yeah, it is not a mix-up. It is not safe on block. It is -4. It is punishable. So if you have a 3-frame or even a 4-frame, you can absolutely punish with that, and Ken has to deal with it. He cannot mash out EXTP. He cannot mash throw. He cannot do anything except for just take the damage. What if they EXTP afterwards? Doesn't matter. He's -4. But you know that, Enzo. You know that. If he's -4, he's getting hit with your fist and he can't EXTP. So that is absolutely something to remember there as well. Now, in terms of when you're fighting against Ken is a character who is very much designed. He is most terrifying in the corner. If Ken has you cornered, because his back throw throws you for fucking miles. If you look at his back throw, it is designed to put you in the corner. Like, look at that. If we go from mid-screen here, like if we go from actual mid-screen, which is about here. That's forward throw, I didn't want that. If we go from mid-screen, like Jury is 2/3 of the way to the corner off back throw. It's ridiculous. So his main game plan at any given point should be to try and get you in the corner, because once he gets you in the corner and once he gets you knocked down, he has at a much bigger advantage because he can start pressuring you with a lot of things that, like his stand heavy kick will crush counter you, it'll put you in a float state, and he can do an EXDP afterwards, things like that. So your primary objective whenever you fight against Ken should be absolutely positively to avoid getting in the corner at any cost. That should be priority number one. If he's trying to walk you to the corner, do not let him do it. Be very aware of when a Ken is just trying to walk you backwards to the corner, because that's exactly what he wants. And you should just do anything you can to avoid that. Now that said, when you do wind up in the corner, because you will wind up in the corner sometimes, it happened to me only a few minutes ago when we were playing against Ken, it happened more than once. The trick is to remain very calm, because Ken will do a lot of things to try and bait throw out of you, basically. He wants to, ideally Ken will want to try and punish throw. So he'll do a lot of shimming in front of you. You know, if you want to switch controls again. He'll do a lot of this because he has this great walk speed. He'll do a lot of this, and he'll try to bait out a throw from you so he can do this. Because that cancels into a lot of things. It cancels into run, it cancels into V-trigger, it cancels into, he can just do EXDP afterwards if he catches you with a crush counter. Things like that. Yeah, he can do that. His crouch medium has quite a solid range to it, especially when he's just walking in and out. So he can clip you with that and go for something off of that. Or he can go for the Thunder Kick. This bad boy here. Now this bad boy... Can I actually do this? No. I don't actually know what the combo is for this. He can combo off of this because what is it? It's +2 on hit. So he can definitely combo after this. Can you cancel it? I'll get there eventually. No, I can't cancel it. Why am I getting so many invites all of a sudden? Basically, he can cancel off that, especially if it's on counter hit. He can absolutely do that. He can absolutely come off that. The thing to remember with Thunder Kick is that it is actually quite minus on block. If we go ahead and record this again, and just play that back. Dude, give it a rest. We're not playing this guy. Okay, it's +3 on hit there when you're crouching. It's -7 on block, which is ridiculous. So yeah, so it's +3 on hit, which is why you can combo after it. So you can combo into light Tatsu. I just wasn't getting it before. I thought that was weird. So if you're crouching, it's +3, but it's -7 on block. So what Ken will try to do, ideally, is he'll get you in the corner. Get there eventually. He'll get you in the corner and he'll start going for mix-ups off of the Thunder Kick. Because Thunder Kick, this guy's in the chat somewhere, he's bugging me. Thunder Kick is, like I said, it's combo on hit. Also, he can do the Thunder Kick feint, which is that. So he can force you to go high to block a Thunder Kick that's not coming and then go low into whatever. Sort of stuff. So he does get a mix-up in the corner as well, which is really terrifying to deal with. So just keep in mind, when he's there, he's going to be going for this kind of stuff. And there's not too much you can do about the Thunder Kick mix-up unless just guess right, basically. I mean, you can obviously just wake up DP if you don't want to deal with it, but that's a risk by itself because you can obviously block and punish that too. But you just want to be patient. You want to try and bait out. If he goes Thunder Kick, you want to try and bait it out so you can get the -7 punish. Things like that. But above all, just try, at the very first chance you get, try to get out of the corner. Basically, if you can punish him for a Thunder Kick, if you can just use a move which has a lot of pushback on it, something like that. These are all good tools for dealing with Ken when you're in the corner. So those are my primary tips for dealing with Ken. I mean, you can obviously go through the character, look at frame data of all his moves, things like that. He doesn't have his target combo. The Chin Buster is very minus on block. Things like that. Be aware that if he's using V-Trigger 1, Ken's kind of like a little bit hard up when he, like Jury is, that he, in terms of V-Triggers. V-Trigger 1 is really only his mostly viable V-Trigger. V-Trigger 2 is mostly for dealing with fireballs, because there's a vacuum effect and it goes through fireballs. You'll very rarely see Ken using V-Trigger 2. V-Trigger 1 gives Ken much better, not much better, but it does give him better frame data on a lot of his moves. So his Tatsu becomes, I think it's -2 instead of -4. So it's still minus on block, but it's way safer than it was before. So it does become more of a mix-up when he does that. Things like that. A lot of this stuff just becomes better in general. So you have to be definitely more careful with Ken when he is in V-Trigger. But outside of V-Trigger, Ken doesn't have a whole lot of moves that give him plus frames. So again, just be wary, be patient, wait your turn, things like that. Those are my best bits of advice for dealing with Ken. Be patient, wait your turn, punish his fireballs, stay out of the corner, don't deal with his bullshit on Tatsu. That's kind of it.